So, so a moment ago, Christine, you said that you're feeling like you're stuck in a cycle and you can't get out. And
Yes.
so and that made me think about plants and growing and the life cycle of plants and the life cycle of gardens and stuff. And my mum, she's a gardener too. She loves it. She spends hours out there just watering and watering and watering. And she has a really large garden, and she goes down to that garden, every day. She goes down one set of steps, and she goes past our fruit trees. We've got a couple of really nice orange trees with these beautiful oranges on it, really delicious. And there's a lemon tree there too. So she goes past the orange trees and then past the lemon trees, and then she goes down another set of steps and goes down deep into the garden. And it's a beautiful garden now because of how much love she pours into it. And her presence in the garden is really, really valuable for the plants. I think the plants really appreciate it. They really feel the love. And so I've I also like gardening, and whenever I go to a new school, I set up a garden. I've set up a garden in every school I've been in, actually. And the school where I am now actually got me up here because they knew I love gardening. And she's a friend of mine, the boss, and she thought I could contribute to the garden, which we have. And so when I came up here last year, we bought a whole lot of books and resources and stuff. And I was reading in a lot of them about developing outdoor classrooms. And I know you're interested in education and stuff, and probably interested in integrating education and gardening. And so I was reading a lot about that area. And one thing I remember really clearly, and I read it in actually quite a lot of sources, was about getting the kids to water the garden every day by hand, not even with a hose. It was I forget whether it was with a hose or with the watering can, but it was, watering it by hand every day so that they gain ownership and responsibility over the garden. And I think that's a great idea, and I really wanted to do it. But I talked to my principal about it, and I've thought about it a lot before actually, and it's not really practical to do that in the modern day and age, because how do we have time to go out there and water every day? It's crazy. And you know how full a school day is, hey? It's insane. We have all these expectations placed on what we do at school. We have a curriculum, and we have outcomes, and we have tests, national testing, and all kinds of tests and stuff that is pushed down on us from outside sources. So we just don't have time to go out there and water every day. It'd be nice, but we don't have time. So we automate it. We have to automate it, and that's a good thing, because once we automate it, then we can focus on other things, because we're not spending time watering. Now we can go out there, or now we do go out there, and we focus on the soil, the quality of the soil, building up the soil, and the nutrients in the soil, so that can feed the plant, feed growth, and that kind of stuff. And we're teaching that to the kids as we go. And we do still water the plants, but we don't water them with water. We water them with fertilizer now, because we want supercharged growth. So we get watering cans, and we put in the liquid fertilizer, and we water them with that. And to me, that's a much more valuable thing to do, because the watering's all taken care of by a system, and we're just kind of boosting that system up with some really quality stuff, really quality content, and yeah, so that's much more meaningful to me and to the kids. It gives a deeper teaching, deeper learning. So we don't even need to water at the moment anyway because it's raining all the time. But we still go out to the garden and maintain it. You know, pull out the weeds, check out the soil, that kind of stuff. So we're still out there, and we go out there in scheduled times because you know how at school everything is scheduled. We have times to do certain things, and we have to schedule it because otherwise we just wouldn't we wouldn't fulfill our curriculum, and then I'd get in trouble. Okay, so I set my mum up with this same auto reticulation system in her garden because she spends a lot of time in her garden as well, and now she can spend more quality time in the garden, you know, doing those things like looking after the quality of the garden and maintaining it and pulling out the weeds and ensuring that it's a healthy garden and those kinds of things. So, and that gives her more time so that she can go out and be more productive in other areas of her life, which she needs. And that kind of reminds me of another, it's really, really quick, right? Another story, and it's all to do with watering and rocks and garden stuff. I don't know what made me think about it, but so there's this really famous time management professor. He's lecturing at this university, really high-end uni, Harvard or Cambridge or something like that. And one day he comes into his class. He's got like hundreds of people there, all looking down on this guy, the guru, and he puts this container. I'll just grab one, something like that. Puts a container down on the on the bench, and he's got a pile of rocks, big rocks, and he's got a pile of like medium rocks, and he's got a cup full of sand. Oh, and he's got a cup full of water as well. And he says to his class, okay, guys, I need to put all of this stuff into this container. How am I going to do it? And he goes, just talk amongst yourselves, and then I'll ask you in a few minutes. And so they do. And he asks them, okay, what do I need to do? You know, one kid puts up his hand. He goes, put the water in first, and then put the sand in. You'll get more in, you know, and then you put the big rocks in, and then those other rocks, just don't worry about it. Another person says, no, don't put the water in. Just forget the water. Just put in the rocks, and then put in the sand, and and then just get in as much as you can. He's actually doing this when they're telling him. So he's trying out all these different ways, and then at the end, he doesn't even finish it. It's quite funny. He doesn't even finish his teaching. He just goes, all right, that's it, no more. And the kids are like, sorry, they're not kids. They're this is at a university, and the adults are like, what do you mean? What's the lesson behind what you're trying to do? And he just turned it around and put it back on them and said, okay, well, what do you think the lesson is? And again, they had a couple of minutes to talk amongst themselves, and then a couple of them put up their hands and they said, oh, I know. It's so that we can work out how to get the most into our day. You know, maybe if we because they've made the analogy between the rocks being tasks in their day. You know, you've got the big tasks, the little tasks, and then you've got all these little mundane ones, which are the grains of sand in the water. So they made the analogy of that. And he said, well, he was quite shocked, actually. He was shocked. He was disgusted. He said, no, that's not it. You're not to get more into your day. That's the wrong approach. And this professor is a time management professor. That's his job. He's the time management guru. And so the adults, the students are a bit shocked. They're like, well, you're supposed to be teaching us how to fit more into our day. And he's like, no, that is not the point at all. He goes, look, this is how you need to do it. First of all, you take the big rocks. You put the big rocks in first. Then you take the medium-sized rocks. You put the medium-sized rocks in second. Okay. Then you get the cup of sand and you pour the sand in. You shake it all in. Okay, and does it look pretty full now? And then they all go, yeah, it's full. You can't fit anything else in there. And he goes, no, it's not true. Now we can fill it up with water. Okay. The point, I know you're not supposed to unpack it, but the point behind that, is that you don't sweat the small stuff. You always put the big things in first. Yeah.
Great.
Yep. And is it raining where you are?
No.
Cool. All right.